Welcome, welcome, sisters. Hello. Welcome to Coming Home to You, Sparkcast, the sanctuary for solid mamas, women, visionaries, and leaders who are ready to rise, not by becoming more, but by remembering and embodying who they already are. And I get chills saying that. This is not a panel. And this is not a performance either. This is really a space of witnessing each other and one another. And today we're going to enter our Trinity of Truth. I'm so excited for the first Trinity of Truth. And the conversation for January is anchored in vision and intention, because oftentimes we think about January, the beginning of the year, and we have intentions and we have resolutions that what is the today, the 27th? By now, they've probably gone out the window. So if this sounds like you, bring your cafecito, buckle in, turn off your distractions, and lean into this conversation. It's not one you're going to want to miss. And vision and intention is anchored here today, not as a concept, but as a lived, embodied experience. Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to invite everyone listening here with me to just arrive. Who you are, not who you think you need to be right now, but who you actually are right now in this moment. So take one breath with me in the nose and out the mouth, letting the exhale be longer than the inhale. Just allow your body to soften and settle in your seat. Let it land. Let yourself be here. This conversation exists for one reason and one reason only: to really let embodied leadership be felt, not explained. We are not here to teach or fix each other. We're here to really tell the truth as it's being lived. There's no hierarchy here either. There's no expert roles in this moment. We're just women in relationship with our vision, with our bodies, and with our souls. So many chills, I'm telling you. Wow, this conversation is already going to be amazing. And I'm so honored to sit with this space today with three women who I have welcomed so often to my Sparkcast, and I'm so grateful that they keep coming back. And they're here because I respect them deeply, not because they have it all figured out, but because they're willing to be honest and they're willing to show up in their truth day in and day out. So please help me welcome Gwen Geerink to the show today. And then we have Claudia Molnar. It's our familiar faces. Usually you see Gwen and Claudia together. It's almost like they call each other, when are you going to come to the show? Because I want to do it with you.
You never know. It's always random.
And last but not least, my joy captain herself, Danielle Longano. All right. I was hoping that they would say something to say hello back to you, but here we are. This month,
Hello.
yes, these women are really in their vision, and I think it's so important that I reached out to them to be like, oh, what question should I ask? And it's when, as a host, you can sit and really let yourself be guided by the wisdom of the people around you, the women that I hold so dear. Synchronicities and alignment happen when you actually to stand, like, what is the collective need to hear right now? Because in my experience is that when you actually ask and you surround yourself with the people, the conversation that needs to happen always unfolds beautifully. So thank you for being open and sharing with me your insights of what vision and intention were for you. That really helped me develop this episode for you today. So we've been exploring vision and intention. And what's becoming clear for me is this: that intention is your why. And your come from is the vision. Like, the intention is your come from, right? And then the vision is what shapes that intention itself. It's what the vision takes form from the intention. They really do inform each other. They kind of live in a loop. And they can't be forced either. And a soul-led vision doesn't need constant action. It needs consistent presence and devotion, not discipline. And there's a difference between devotion and discipline, and I'm hoping that we'll touch upon that in this conversation. And that's what sustains it. It's the devotion and the consistency. So let that land. Okay. That alone maybe gave a lot of people aha moments. So I want to start with vision, and not as a future plan, but as something alive. All right, so I'm going to ask, what vision has been quietly forming or clarifying for you recently? And I'll go with you first, Claudia.
Okay, that's a great question. And I love this that it comes from within because I always kind of sit and try and like set, I think like everybody, quite a clear intention. And then what I actually find is that when when something works for me, I kind of go, oh, I want to share that with everyone. So it's like when I first got into breath work, for example, and I felt amazing with breath work, then I was just like, I want to share this with people. I want to build this in because people need to feel this. And then when I got into 9D breath work and it took it to another level, then I was like, the first journey I ever did was like, oh my God, I've got to share this with everyone needs to feel this way. This is going to help so many people. I need to build it into my toolkit. And when I look back, I realize there's so much truth in what you just said about this. The action or even the vision coming from within. So the intention starts up here for me, but then I realize the vision comes from here so
Mm,
often because one thing I've learned is I can be my most authentic self when I'm doing something from a place that I've already experienced. And I think that's probably true for most people, but I'm aware of it now. And I think
mm,
that's the difference, that I'm aware of the fact that for me to be truly authentic and for me to really be able to step into my power or my truth and to not be small anymore, I've got to go with something that I truly believe in. And what do I truly believe in? My own positive experiences. Uh,
mm,
and how, when I get that pull and that urge to share this with other people, um, that's when my vision forms. Because then comes that, okay, the how. So we have the why, and then we have to then think about the how, and then we become a bit more strategic about that. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about my own things that have worked and things that don't work as well. I mean, that's how that comes the how, then the reflection side of it. And anybody that knows me probably is probably going to be on my my tombstone. Here lies Claudia. She reflected on it, because reflection is my buzzword of like, let's look back, let's reflect, let's integrate what worked, what didn't work, and what needs fine tuning, basically. So I guess that's the experience, and the heart is the what and the why, and then the reflection is the how.
mm.
Eh,
Love that.
Yeah.
Danielle, anything come up for you?
Well, first I want to say thank you, Claudia, for sharing, and thank you, Margarita, for hosting this. It's so aligned with what is coming through for me right now is community, is supporting each other. And
Mm,
as a recovering lone wolf, yes, I that is 100% like my vision is creating that community and not just collaborating, which I love so much, but it's opening doors for each other. It's
mm,
supporting each other. And if you need my back to rise higher, I'm going to bend over and give you my back, and vice versa. And that is new for me. So it's being in community, and with that comes all the mirrors. So as Claudia was sharing, so many mirrors came up for me as well that we each one of us generate people in our lives to mirror us. And when I see it as that person is just a figment of my imagination, that's really just reflecting me. And like Claudia said, what's working and what's not working. It's an opportunity for me to choose. And it's been presence here. It's choosing my vision over my story, choosing my future over my past,
mm,
and not from a place of perfection, but excellence. Where do I, and something that worked for me yesterday might not work for me today. And it's giving myself that grace that my Everest, my big vision is there. And how I get there, that is going to shift. Because every hill, every mountain that I summit, I'm going to have a different view of Everest from that point. I am not the same person I was 6 months ago, a year ago, 4 years ago.
Yesterday.
Exactly.
I wanted to say that yesterday.
This
Yeah.
morning.
So I get to have grace with myself. So how many people say, well, this is my vision and it's stagnant, it's rigid,
Mm.
and it's having grace is shifting, it's organic, it's constantly evolving, so that the mirrors that are coming into your life are reflecting back, oh, that's just like me. This is where I'm stopping. This is where I get to go next. And grounded in that vision. So that vision is the guiding light to me. The committed action are the stepping stones to get to that guiding light. Without the light, the path is chaos. And
I love that.
I like that.
There is something that you
Without the
said I
light,
want
the path
clarity
is
on.
chaos.
I want clarity for people who might not understand what you said, because you hit something that I think was so important to highlight. It's not about perfection, about excellence. Can you go a little deeper on what excellence means?
yeah, so I mean, how many people, hello, were recovering perfectionists where we thought it had to look a certain way? Yeah. And Gwen spoke on this before we started today, of letting that go, trusting that the path is going to reveal itself. That's, to me, excellence. So it's being committed to my vision, being and doing whatever it takes to get there, but not being dependent on what it looks like. So when I have an intention, and it could be to be loving, to be trusting, to be vulnerable, I could create that 9 million ways. And it might not look how I thought it should look. That's perfection. Excellence is then saying, oh, are my results equaling my intention? And if they are, that's excellence.
Mm.
I like that.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can lean into that because when I was just earlier before we jumped on, I was talking about my book. I started writing it in 2018, and then it was finished in 2020. We are 26, and I'm saying 1 year and a half ago, I'm publishing my book. And up until now, it hasn't been published. And the thing is that I was at some point, now not anymore, but at some point I was like, I'm procrastinating, and I was blaming myself because I wasn't living towards my vision, because my vision was to publish that book and publish that book in that specific moment. And every time I postponed the date and I postponed the date. And at some point I was questioning myself, like, where am I not playing big enough? Or where am I sabotaging myself? Where am I procrastinating? And actually, in truth, it had nothing to do with any of it. The only thing that had to do is like, I have a vision, I have an intention, and I get to come in with integrity to live my truth. And the integrity part was missing because I wanted to have it done at some point because the book was finished and it had to, and something inside said like, no, the book is done and it's not, because it gets to ripen for the right time. And if things happen, they happen for a reason, and not to stress out about it. It's just trusting the process, because eventually when you lead with vision and you come in with intention, when you listen with integrity, then that's the moment everything shifts. So for me, when I lean into truth, then it's vision, intention, and integrity. That's for me, move the needle in surrendering and trusting the process, because it's a beautiful sentence. Trust the process, trust the process, let it go, surrender.
Easier said than done.
But what does that mean?
How?
For me?
How do I do that?
I know.
And how do I do that? Yes.
How
But I
many
love
times
this.
you're like, but I have been. I have. I thought I surrendered. But what I'm
Yeah.
hearing
And
everybody share is that letting go of the expectation of what's supposed to look like. I think that's what surrender really is. It's surrendering and trusting that what is meant to actually land and be will be.
Yeah, and I love this,
absolutely.
what you just said about ripening, and I think that's another thing is actually, Daniela, you mentioned as well about grace and ripening. I think that's it. Sometimes we really think that we're stuck, and then we have to sit with that and realize, no, I'm marinating at this point, and we have to give ourselves, the grace and the time to do that because with the best intention, it's not always the right time,
No.
so you can't always just rush in because and so I think that it's just such an important, beautiful, finite point with all of this, that yes, there's reaction and yes, we have to surrender, but this is a really hard thing for many people to do, is just to allow themselves to marinate in something, and this
Yes.
is beautiful, to just ripen till the time is right. We do it with
Especially
the
for
best
the
things
ones
like
who,
cheese, wine, everything, bread, a whole lot. So we have to do it
yeah, and it's this
ourselves.
specifically challenging for people who are go-getters,
Yeah.
drivers, like me.
Yeah.
For
That's
me, it's
why.
like, let's go, let's go, let's go, people,
Successful
let's go.
people, the high
I know.
achievers.
And that's why I've been sitting with this question about the difference between discipline and devotion.
Mm.
Because
Oh
discipline says try
yeah.
harder, do it faster, go against the grain. Devotion really says like return, pause, sit, rest, attune, align. So what does devotion to your vision look like in real life right now? And then how does your body feel when you're aligned or when you're not? Gwen, we'll go with you first.
Well, when I check in with myself, I see myself quite often lean into discipline. And when I lean into discipline, then I exhaust myself. And then my body starts to, and then at some point, if I don't listen, it just shuts down. And then I get to devote myself to the process. And it's a difficult one for me. However, I'm aware of it, so I've learned to dance with it. And the devotion really means being congruent with your actions, connected to your thoughts and your feelings. So when these three are congruent with each other, that's the moment you are able to know when it's time to take action on your vision with intent, or to slow down and to marinate with intent. And it's a very sensitive balance. I can know because I've been there so many times.
We all have.
Oh, I get to put my charger in. Give me a sec.
Anything come up for anyone else about
Yeah,
the
so
discipline?
what I'm hearing there, and I love it because again, all the mirrors right here in the room. And for me, it's the devotion is my intention. So every single morning, I get to re-enroll myself
Yeah.
in my intention, in my vision. That's the devotion. That's the grace. That's the ease and flow. And the discipline, just like Gwen, consistency was my word of 2025 because of my lack of discipline. And Gwen, you nailed it earlier about integrity. And when I wasn't being in integrity with myself, with my word to myself, because how many times, how many of us, how many of you listeners out there will commit to somebody else and you will move mountains to make sure you are your word. But then when it's for yourself, for me, it's the first thing out the window.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Always.
that has been the in the back of my head now. I used to play black red. So I win. I don't care if you lose, if you win or lose. I don't care. That's up to you. That's your responsibility. That's how I played my life up until 4.5 years ago. And now I play win-win. So I go through the filter. If I'm winning and everybody else is winning, then I move forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's the discipline right there. So it's neutral.
Great point.
It's
Yeah.
neutral. If people are going to lose, then I'm not playing. I'm not making that decision.
Because you lose too.
Exactly.
At the
It
end, you're
doesn't feel
shooting in your
good.
own foot.
And imagine if our leaders played that game
Mm-hmm.
and played win-win.
Different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes me. It gets to start with me. It gets to start with each one of us. So where in your life are you playing? And a lot of people play lose win. I always lose. I sacrifice. That's not winning.
Yeah. We've talked about this a lot in terms of, especially, the mom, the wife, the leader, the everyone, the friend, and all of this, and where do we put ourselves? And I would just also, I mean, I can't disagree with anything that you say, and I love this whole notion of mirrors, and I'm looking at the, Margarita slogan of coming home to you, and I think, this is such a strong point because I think if we go to another layer of devotion, it's got to come from us, from our heart space. And it's also about, it's great to have the vision and to have the intention, but you got to also look at where your vibration is with that as well. Because if you're leading from a place, from your heart space, from a place of love, from a place of servitude and goodness, and like you're saying, on a win-win platter, or maybe it's not win-win, but it's not I win, you lose. It's like I win, you don't lose, but you might not, quite be there. That's okay. There needs to be a buffer zone as well, and a grace spot, a sweet spot between it all. So I also would add that into the devotion because I also was, kind of being very disciplined and very strategic about everything and setting myself really, really rigid rules,
Oh,
even,
me too.
and but no rule on, but at 7 o'clock, I'm sorry, I'm locking myself away and having a salt bath for an hour, listening to music, and no one is allowed to disturb me. I do that now, and self-care, I think, is the root of pure devotion to anything, like to our vision, to our businesses, to the people that we're leading, to the people that we're serving. If we are not devoted to ourselves and our own vision, integrity, and all of these beautiful things that we're all talking about, then, you're on a hiding to nothing, really, because like you said, Danielle, if you're going to lose because I'm going to win, I don't want the bitter in that bittersweet situation. I don't want any bitterness. I want it to be a sweet spot,
I
So,
also think there is another way around in terms of you devote yourself into create a win-win or a triple win, like everybody gets to win, right? And sometimes you can be in a situation that you see your actions, your choices, and the way you think about something, that you see that if I make this choice, the other person wins. However, the person in that situation doesn't perceive it that way. The person in that moment actually feels that they are losing. So you also being devoted to the willingness to paying the price, to be rejected, to be judged, to be whatever called anything, because you're coming in with powerful love, coming from that devotion to create a win-win, even though people don't see it that way in that specific moment. And I think that's even harder, because you get to dance with your ego in that moment.
Mhm.
You don't
Yeah,
want to be
and
the bad person. You
what I'm
don't want to be
hearing,
the ugly person. Yeah.
yeah, and what I'm hearing with what Claudia shared and with what Gwen shared is the devotion is your why.
Yeah.
Why it's important. So when you dig 7 layers deep to your why, then you know in your core that devotion and why that's important to you. And like Gwen's presence, like what prices are you willing to pay? And there are some leaders that have been willing to pay the price of death because of their why, because of their devotion. And so that is a question that each leader gets to ask themselves. What prices am I truly willing to pay to be a leader, to stand for what I believe in?
Yeah. And
That
it's
was
also,
powerful.
yeah, it's very powerful. And I don't even think that a lot of the time we're even aware of the price that we're paying until we're in it. Like, Gwen, you mentioned before about, our bodies, they speak to us. We don't always listen, but at some point, you know, it's gonna, it's not giving up on us, but it's going to give us an incredibly strong signal that, hey, you're going to listen to me right now, and I'm going to start, you know, switching off and malfunctioning a little bit until you actually listen, and then you hit the wall of, burnout, breakout, breakdown, breakthrough, whatever you want to call it, and I know I've been there more than once. And I think this is such a perfect thing that you're saying, Daniela. This price to pay is often a massive blind spot for a lot of leaders, particularly women in leadership as well, because we really are striving for this perfection, being disciplined, managing every facet, being the perfect everybody for all the hats that we're wearing, and it just creeps up on you until it bites you in the bum and you don't know about it. So I think also this whole notion of perception, I mean, I'm a very strong believer in that, how we're leading and the place we're leading from and our why also influences the way that other people react to us. So we're creating that environment and we're creating that reality, and we can shift the situation by shifting our own perception of the situation as well. And I mean that's the work that all of us doing in a beautiful way. So I'm so glad that all these things are coming up, but I think there is a real time and space for everybody to really take stock and say, and maybe this is the marinade point that you're saying, like, what is the price I am paying today, actually? What price am I paying for this vision?
Yes.
Maybe that's a little homework task for us all to
Yeah.
do.
Well, I
And
wanted to
being with
add,
integrity and intention. Yeah.
I wanted to add that when I started in the leadership program, one of the ways that we were able to clear a breakdown was to kind of be honest and be like, hey, I acknowledge my breakdown, what was in the way, and these are the prices I'm paying. But I think what really helped land was also seeing what other people, what they were, the prices they were paying for me being in my story, for me being choosing the less serving version of myself that I'm, been trying so hard to like break. And that's when I grounded myself in that, it just got exhausting. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to keep showing up as this person. this is not who I am. Like, what is in the way? Like, what is really the story that I'm really here to create and to be? Like, and that was the moment that I understood devotion at a deeper level, devoting to my vision of who I am becoming and who I've always been, not the version of me that I've been fighting my whole life and been told that I am. And so it just feels different in your body. I was going to ask you about how it feels in your body and your nervous system when you push too hard, and you guys all kind of said that already. And then also what shifts when you actually are in alignment. And I think a lot of that is just synchronicities, and you start seeing opportunities and collaborations coming to your awareness when you are taking a moment to just pause and rest in it. But I want to offer a deep soul question for you next. And you can answer it whatever way feels true, or maybe simply just reflect on it silently. I don't know. But what are you no longer pretending not to know about your vision or your boundaries or your truth, even? Because I
What
think
are
that's what
you?
I hear a lot is like, what are you pretending not to know? And it's like, oh, I know we know the
Oh, that's
answers,
one.
Oh.
you know, and sometimes we just don't want to really take the time to go in and ask ourselves the hard question and reflect, because we might feel that we're broken or it's wrong, or there's so many things that come with that. So what are we pretending not to know about our vision?
For me, is that I know. I pretend not to know that I know. That's what I do.
That's the thing we all
Up
do.
until now.
And
Yes, up until now.
for me, it is letting them. And Claudia, you started us off today with, like, every time I learn something that supports me, I want to share it with everyone. I'm like, why are we all not doing this? Why? Like, you need to. And it has been letting go of that control. I'm a controller. I want results and I want to fix everyone. And that has been the biggest thing, is allowing others to come to, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Mhm.
And it not forcing it anymore. And
Meeting them where they are.
yeah, it's surrendering to that, holding the space and trusting that when they're ready, I'm here. I'm here. Rather than pulling them and dragging them, kicking and screaming. Because
Nobody
they're,
likes to be dragged.
yeah. So that has been my biggest pretending not to know, is that I don't have to do it for people, and I get to just hold that space from love and possibility, seeing their greatness, and then allowing them to come when they're ready.
I have a mantra for that.
Are you going to share it with us?
I know,
Yes.
it's like, I'm on. Suspense. Your book is going to be good, Ross. It's going to end on a to be continued, isn't it?
Nobody owns me anything.
Nobody
Oh.
owns anything.
That's a powerful one, because every time you come in with expectations of who or how they get to react, or what they get to say to you, or how they should respond or not respond to you, and then you going like, I don't want to be treated like that. Somebody you didn't need to say that, like, or at least he could say thank you me or sorry to me or whatever. Every time I see myself doing that, I say to myself, nobody owns me anything, because that's the way I give my power away.
Mm,
And then that's where I lose my own truth.
yeah.
I disconnect from my vision. I stop acting from integrity. I stop acting from intention, and I just distract myself. And that's something that for me, I'm really practicing in landing that with myself. So maybe it works.
Yes, that
Yeah,
landed so differently for me. Thank you for sharing that.
that
Thank
resonates,
you. You're
and I'm
welcome.
hearing that kind of like a judgment because I've kind of built in this mantra as well, kind of similarly, what other people think of me is none of my business, It was a Bob Proctor quote, I think that and because there is like you said, Marguerite, with the best will in the world, you know, we can keep saying, I'm not that person anymore, but she creeps up every so often, and there's that, you know, what is that person like? And I still have, there are two people's voices that will jump into my head, and I'm like, but what are they going to think? And I literally have to have that conversation with myself. It doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter. They can judge. Let them judge. I'm going to say what you said, Daniela, the let them as well. Let them judge. Let them think what they want. Let them comment, you know and if it's really that important to them, they'll phone me up and ask me why. Da, da, da. And if no one's phoning me and no one's writing to
Then there
me,
is no problem. That's so
exactly.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. So that just so resonates with me, what you've both said. And it's packaged in so many ways, isn't it? Like, no one owes me anything, what other people think of me. Is it judgment? Is it my own judgment? Can I give space to other people? And if we dig deeper into that, it's the control thing. And why are we and there are so many layers to this, but I think it's so lovely that, there's such a theme here and we're all kind of singing from the same songbook because it's still a massive truth. And, we are climbing that mountain, but there are so many peaks and plateaus and I now try not to ignore the fact that I'm on a plateau. I'm trying, I'm still, that's work in progress of recognizing when I'm on a plateau and those voices are, the monkey mind's going. And I'm like, if you want to work mind, then go and work, manifest me something positive. If you want to overwork, if not, then just thank you.
Well, and Claudia, what I hear there is how many of us don't celebrate every single thing
Yeah.
that we've accomplished. Like, I mean, up until recently, I would accomplish things, I would check the box, but I keep moving forward. Like, okay, like I
Next.
would never, and what really landed for me is like watching a football game. Like they celebrate every yard. Every yard.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention and you hear the celebration, you're like, "Oh, they scored a touchdown." Nope. Nope.
They just
Just
got a
one
yard.
yard. One yard. So that is where I have shifted. And
Great analogy.
whatever, because what I heard, Claudia, is that the feelings still come up. Like, this is a journey. There's not a destination. It's not that we're never going to experience struggles or complications or the ickies. It's just lowering the volume on it and
Hmm.
shifting faster. That's when I pause, and what you call the plateau, I pause and say, okay, how would I have shown up a year ago? Oh my gosh, I would have shown up so differently. And this experience was given to me to show me that, to
Mm.
show me how I would have shown up and how I showed up different. And then I stop and acknowledge myself and celebrate that now. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I would have said, how's this happening to me?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh my gosh, look, it's
Farming.
proof. I'm collecting evidence that I didn't show up like I would have.
Yeah.
Was it perfect? No, that was excellent.
And it also signals to your nervous system that it's safe. It's safe to
That's the
either
most
move
important
forward,
one.
right? It tells your body that it's safe. That's how you embody the awareness that one thing that I'm pretending not to know is that I have it all already. I already have all the knowledge that I need to move forward.
Mm.
And it's just learning to trust, right? And surrender to not having to have it look a certain way. And one thing that you said, Claudia, that stood out for me is the two voices and the version of you that you were and the version that you're moving into. And one thing that I remember my trainer saying so loudly, and it just clicked. And it was like, this is the moment I paid the money for this program, because it was the one thing that she said, one sentence that she said that I was just like, oh my gosh, that gave me so much freedom. It was, you don't change. You just get to choose to shift and choose how you're going to now in this moment move forward. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're right. That's why I felt broken for so many years, because I kept repeating the pattern. And then sometimes I also realize, like, thoughts that come in that are intrusive, I ask myself, I pause, is this thought really mine? Because
Oh, yeah.
oftentimes we think our
Oh,
thoughts are ours, and sometimes they're
Yeah,
not even
and
our
it's
thoughts.
not. No.
So
yeah,
learning to distinguish between the monkey mind and the inner knowing
yeah. That's
was
massive.
really
Yeah.
key. Yeah.
And also making friends with it all as well, because like I just remember, like, there was this period where I was having really, really bad panic attacks. So I went through this period where, and I was just beautifully ignoring them, just going to work, it's okay. And then actually someone said to me, you need to make friends with them. I was like, what? And I'd be like, I was at a point where I was kind of like halfway through my journey of managing them and listening, then, recognizing that actually trying to tell me something. It's like someone knocking on the door and knocking on the window going, and actually like having a conversation with them, because I was at a point where I would be sitting reading a magazine. Nothing's happening around me at all. I'm relaxed reading a magazine, whoom, and I'd be like, where did that come from? And then I realized, right, okay, that's the question I need to ask myself. Where did that come from? And what am I going to do about it? And what do I know about it? And this is why when you said this, Margaret, it's so true that they're not even our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. A lot of it is external, a lot of it's internal, but it's inherited. It's stuff that we're not even aware that we're carrying quite often. So that landed with me so much that just, yeah. Is it even mine?
Yeah.
Is it mine to carry at all?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
building on that, not only is it mine, but is it true? Is it
Yeah.
true?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what I heard too is that our ego is keeping us safe. At one point, it was a threat to us,
Mm.
and that it served us. And we have carried that in our nervous system, in our unconscious mind, our entire lives. So it's releasing that. And I love how, Margarita, you've woven in the nervous system and how our bodies hold on to everything until we give it permission. And I work, I'm a master practitioner in NLP. And when we ask permission of the unconscious mind, are you ready to release this?
Yeah.
Because it no longer serves you. And until we release it, whether through breath work is such a beautiful way
Absolutely.
to release it from our unconscious and our nervous system so that we are safe. And so it's an opportunity to ask those questions, but we get to pause. And how often do we not acknowledge that that's the first step? Noticing.
Awareness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with that awareness.
Yeah, and I love that, because also noticing is like the first stage of learning. So whenever we learn anything right from the beginning of school, even before school, at home, it's all about noticing, because that's what our brain, that's how we learn. That's how the brain is wired to notice things. And also I love the fact that we've dropped this in, because our brain is designed to keep us safe. That's its job, and and it's been doing this job for some of us for a very long time. And
Yeah.
and the later we realize this and recognize this, it's like all of that unpicking that you have to do, like that's probably a lot of the work we're all doing, is particularly with NLP and release and everything, that we're unpicking all of this, like our brain has been laboring under a misapprehension that we haven't been in a dangerous situation, and our brain thinks it's keeping us safe because we've hardwired it to think that we're in danger by carrying all this stress. And it's something physical just by being like this, we don't even realize.
That's why celebration's so important, because celebration bypasses the mind. It bypasses the logical thinking. Celebration tells your body movement. It also helps to move. I think, Gwen, that something came up for you that I just want to make sure that you get a chance to share too.
Yes, a lot of things. So, but the most important thing I think is that the brain actually, yes, we are wired to protect ourselves. And what we often not acknowledge of the brain is the most powerful task or capacity of the brain is awareness. If we rather lean into, if we first learn to be present and aware of what is going on, that's the first step we can do in order to make the brain feel safe, so it doesn't go in protection mode. And I always say to my clients, your brain is wired to trick you, but the body never lies.
Never lies.
So true.
And if you really lean into that part, and if you want to trick the brain to stop tricking you, then the only way to do that is with awareness. And that's the first start. This is where Tantra starts, actually. Like, this is the big thing, awareness. And every level, like when you when you talk to your nervous system and you want to bring your nervous system into a coherent state between the mind and the heart, like completely relaxed and rest, so it can tap into the functions of the brain that we normally never use. But when we use them, we tap into our superpowers, so become human beings.
Mm-hmm.
That's the moment. That's the moment when we really lean into that being present and aware of what's going on. That's the way we can learn the brain to rewire and calm down and feel safe. And when the brain feels safe, then it reflects on the body, because then the body starts to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moment. And then when the body feels safe, it's not over, because when the body feels safe, then the body starts to release. And when the body starts to release, you get a load of crap.
It's good crap, though.
It's no, there is no good crap. It's just crap. It's a good purpose, but it's crap.
Purposeful crap.
It's a purposeful crap.
Purposeful crap. But then the most what happens then, the brain kicks in again and starts to protect. So we go back to our old ways to avoid all the crap that's coming up, because we don't want to feel bad or ugly or disappointed or scared or unworthy or having migraine or specific body pain. We don't want that. But it's part of the liberation. If we how often do we meet people, or even ourselves, when we talk to the mirror, we want something, we say we want something, and we are not willing to accept the fact that we first get to go through the mud. Mm-hmm. We get to stink. Like, it's ugly and messy as hell.
Every
And
route has a
then
And it's beautiful. It's a
and
beautiful
and
mess.
and then like it's like climbing a mountain, right? Go to the Mount Everest. Like these people, they often they almost die just to put the flag on top of the mountain, and then they say, "Ah, I'm here." Yes, and it's a split second of a celebration. And when they talk about that experience, they don't talk about the moment they point the flag. They talk about the road and all
journey.
And
the
the preparing
challenges. Yes.
and how they prepared
And the
before they
and
went to the mountain.
And
yeah.
how
It
many
started with
times
the
they
vision
tried.
too. They
Yeah.
started with their vision first of what they wanted to accomplish. They didn't just go, "Oh, I'm going to go do this thing." Like it actually took some time to pause
Yeah.
and probably refining because things don't happen the way that you plan them to, right? And so surrendering to that. But I love that you guys talked about awareness being like the first step and the first key. And yes, I'd like to agree with that because without awareness, you don't know what you don't know. But sometimes awareness without embodying that can be weaponized. And I see it,
Yeah.
like people talking about the leadership talk. Oh, you're talking that. So I think it's when you actually start embodying that awareness, and it comes through devotion, not discipline. It comes from the little choosing yourself and not abandoning yourself over and over again until it becomes um, a new practice, right? Because we have been habitually this version of ourselves up until now, and then you have the awareness of like that is what hasn't been working for me, and then you start. Uh, for the longest time, I had the awareness here, but I was like, why is awareness not enough? Awareness wasn't enough for me to like shift. It was when I started to actually choose myself and ask for help and be in community, being witnessed allowed me to soften into the truth of who I am because I no longer felt shame or blamed or broken or the problem. I was able to just kind of be and sit with it. So how has community or the absence of it really shaped how you relate to your own vision? And Danielle, we'll go with you because I know you talked about how community really has shifted that for you in a big way.
So yeah, full circle here. And that is a commitment to my words for 2026 are intimacy and urgency. So it's being part of the community and being authentic in that community of the presence here as well is I'm not an expert. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, just what has worked for me. And if something lands with you, great. If you resonate with something that I say, great. Let's reach out because it's giving generously to that community to not only support each other, but to open the doors for others, to connect people together so that we can create momentum. Momentum. When we hit critical mass, we're going to shift this world. And that is my big, big, big vision. But I get to start, like I said, with me. And that is choosing to be in community, to serve here today. So I am grateful, Margarita, for this opportunity, for you creating this community. So that is my commitment to myself to give generously and to be of service and to win. It gets to be a win, win, win. Thank you.
And it paid forward for me. I did this with the intention to serve the collective and the community and to collaborate because I've always been a big fan of all my friends and sharing their wisdom and knowledge and skills and talents in the world. But a byproduct happened that I didn't expect was that I actually became embodied as a leader because I was in community. It was like it didn't happen overnight, but it happened through osmosis. Just being in community, being in connection every week with women like you, sitting with me, telling me your story. I saw myself in every single one. And it gave me permission to show up messy, And that is like the golden ticket for me because it allowed me to just be.
So
So thank you for that.
beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful. What's landed for me is being in community, is being surrounded with people that accept you for who you are, see you for what you are capable of, and trusting you for the what you choose, and they speak through to you. For me, having that community around me shifted a lot for me, because the moment I didn't feel safe, I realized a few weeks ago, I had a friend over, and she said it's the first time, and it's the first time you are actually really being vulnerable with me and sharing things I've never known from you. And we know each other forever. And I say, yeah, for a long time, I always was a lone wolf. Like when there was a challenge, I fixed it and I figured it out myself, by myself. And when it's over, then I started to talk about it, that I had that challenge and see, this is how I solved it. Because in my nervous system since childhood, for me, I didn't feel safe because of the circumstances to share my voice. And I've learned to survive by taking the lead and see how I could fix things for me. And mostly it had to do with doing it alone, like quietly, nobody knew. Because if somebody knew, they could take advantage of me, they could punish me, they could laugh with me, they could make it more difficult for me. So I just shut up and fixed it. That's how I was wired for so many years. And I also practiced myself in hiding, like, here I am. I am so great today. When I was alone. That I did that for years. And betrayal and all these things played out for me as a child. And for me, that was for a long period of my life, the way I handled stuff. And it's the moment when you are in a community where you can feel safe, where people just cheer you on when you need it and leave you when you need it and speak truthfully when you need it. That's the moment you start to shift. I'm also so grateful for having you here and being in this journey with you, Margarita and Claudia and Danielle. Why? Because every time I'm here, I'm a different person when I go to sleep. I'm just a different person when I wake up in the morning every time I've been here. So that's why I love being here, surrounded with the community that the people who see you for who you are and trust you with it. Yeah.
Yes, I think what I heard too was when I was called when my coaches and my mentors were not enrolled in my smallness and they were calling me lovingly forward because they saw the gifts that I was hiding underneath the racket, the story or the breakdown. And then I was asked to start collecting evidence of my greatness because up until then, all I kept doing was looking for evidence and proof, Danielle, of but the ways that I was broken and not getting it right. But I want to, before time is up, because I know Danielle has a hard close at 11, I want to invite everyone to pause here and just invite you back into a moment of integration into your body. So one hand in your heart, one hand in your belly, and just breathe in. Allow that breath to be long Notice what's present in your body now, what learned, what shifted, what softened in you in this conversation. And that conversation reminds me of something essential. That vision doesn't ask us to become someone new. It's asking us to stop abandoning ourselves as we remember who we truly are. And leadership begins when we choose honestly over performance, and honesty over performance as well. Presence over pressure, and devotion over force or discipline. So I want to thank you, sisters, for being here, for lending your wisdom, your voice, and your truth, and your nervous system to this shared space. To everyone listening out there, just remember, keep rising, keep shining, keep coming home to yourself because you matter. You're enough exactly as you are because you're not late and you're not behind. Remember, you're right on time. Coming home to you is not a destination. It's truly a devotion. And I hope today you choose yourself again and again. Thank you.